What's going on, guys? For the first time in over a month, we have an NHL trade to announce, and it's a pretty big one. The Montreal Canadiens getting Christian Dvorak from the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for a first and second round pick. A lot of people saw this trade coming once Montreal was looking like they weren't going to match the offer sheet to Kotkaniemi, which I think was the right move. I mentioned this in my video, but a first and a third round pick is pretty good value for Kotkaniemi, but he's not worth the $6 million, and I think that was really the deciding factor in them deciding to walk away from him. Speaking of that, I'm actually going to kind of put through that trade first, see if that would go down in game, then we'll do the Dvorak trade, since I think, this trade obviously doesn't happen without Kotkaniemi being offer sheeted. So, Carolina Hurricanes draft picks here, it's a 2022 first and a 2022 third Montreal gets from them in exchange for Kotkaniemi, who in real life is a player not really meeting his potential. In game, has the highest trade value on the Canadiens there. 20 years old, 82 overall, medium elite, and that's actually his trade value after I've added the extension there, $6.1 million for one more year. It didn't affect it at all. If you guys are wondering, it didn't go up or down. They saw that as actually like fair value for him, so they assume he's going to grow. The Hurricanes want him here, so we'll add him to that, and it looks to be like the value's a bit on our side. So the Hurricanes actually should say yes to this, and they do. Okay, so in game, EA thinks Carolina gets a good deal there. Again, the value is pretty equal, but usually the known player is kind of more valuable than the picks. Now, in my roster, Kotkaniemi has medium top 6 or low elite. I forget which one. Definitely not medium elite. And so after the Kotkaniemi offer sheet, guys, we're now going to try trading for Christian Dvorak. You guys can see in-game here. He's a pretty solid player. 24 years old, 84 overall. So he's a little high rated here than Kotkaniemi, 84 overall, opposed to 82, but 4 years old there, 24 opposed to 20. Medium top 6, and I think that's pretty accurate to real life. Like, Dvorak's definitely already the better player. The question is Kotkaniemi going to become better than him in the future? And it's tough to say, because Kotkaniemi's ceiling could be Dvorak or slightly more than Dvorak, but Dvorak's on a really solid contract. $4.4 million here for 4 more years in real life. Definitely a solid second-line center. I think he'll fit in pretty well behind Nick Suzuki in Montreal's top 6. They definitely had a center role to fill once they lost Kotkaniemi, because after that I think it's like Jake Evans is their third-line center, Cedric Paquette, fourth-line center. Duran may move to third-line center, they're not really sure. But definitely they had a hole to fill. So the way this works, I'm just going to simple it down. There's conditions on the first round pick. The easiest way to look at it is Arizona gets the higher of the 2 first round picks between Carolina and Montreal, unless it's a top 10 pick, in which case Montreal gets the higher pick. So if they're picking, say, 11 and 30, Arizona gets the 11th pick. If they're picking 1 and 29, Arizona gets the 29th pick. Now, if both picks are in the top 10, say they're picking 4 and 7, Montreal still gets the 4th pick. They still get the higher pick. Arizona gets the 7th pick. So Arizona's really hoping that, both Montreal and Carolina do terrible. That way they get a top 10 pick. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Montreal probably would like if, Carolina did terrible, got the first overall. They won the Stanley Cup, got the 31st. In which case, they only get a 31st pick. And they still get the first overall from Carolina. That's ideal for Montreal fans. The value here is pretty similar. I'm going to take a guess that Carolina just barely squeaks in the playoffs, a wildcard team. Montreal misses, in which case Montreal's got a good chance to get a top 10 pick. So it's probably the Carolina pick going to Arizona, and then with it's actually a 2024 second round pick, which Arizona already has a couple of. So they now have 3 2024 seconds. I think they have 5 2022 seconds. They're going to have 3 first round picks in 2022 as well. I actually saw a tweet, I could show it to you guys, just showing all the picks they've already acquired, and that's just this offseason. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've also gotten good players with that. All they've given up in terms of picks is a few 7ths, and then players there you can see some good players like Dvorak, Ekman-Larsson, Garland, Kemper, but there's no superstars there. They've basically gotten all of that through utilizing their cap space. I've mentioned it, I think, in 3 videos now, but the GM work here, it's a masterclass by Armstrong, I think. It's just so impressive. Now, we'll see here if the trade we're talking about, Dvorak to Montreal goes through, a first in 2022, a second in 2024. The value is quite highly on our side. I think Arizona says yes, and they do. So there you go. Both trades we offered went through, which means in-game, EA thinks both Carolina and Arizona won these trades, but honestly, I think Montreal made the smart move in not matching the Kotkaniemi offer sheet. And in terms of the Dvorak trade, I think it was pretty good value. It's really going to come down to what that first round pick is. If it's 25 or later, I think Montreal wins. And then if it's 15 or higher, I'd probably give the win to Arizona, which tells you it's a pretty fair trade if we're talking about, a draft position to decide who wins it. And for you Habs fans, right here's your first look at Christian Dvorak as a Montreal Canadien. I think it looks pretty good. His game face isn't the greatest, pretty generic. Hopefully 22 he gets a better one, but there you go, Dvorak 18. I will now try the trade from Arizona's perspective and see what happens. So as you guys can see here, Montreal is interested in Dvorak like in real life, so that's good to see. And their first and second round pick are not on the block. Baddock there is just there for the roster spot. The value is on Montreal's side, so chances are they say no to this. Again, I always do these trades for the Sims on medium difficulty. And yeah, trade is rejected, which is actually kind of interesting as I removed Dano from Montreal. So like they do have that center hole. Kotkaniemi is still there though. And still, they weren't willing to do it. I actually just want to show you guys Arizona's lines right now really quick. Again, this is using daily face-off. Look at that forward group. You take away Dvorak, there is nothing there. They have a first line. They have a first line in Keller, Schmaltz, Kessel. After that, there is nothing. Defensively, they're okay. They're really lucky they still have Jacob Chikrin as their number one. But offensively, like, clearly they're tanking. And I mean, honestly, Arizona's been so bad for so long. I'm fine with it. And just for fun here, guys, I want to see if in-game Montreal would match the offer sheet. I'm going to assume they do, as again, EA has Kotkaniemi as medium elite potential still, which I don't really think is too accurate. Even 82 overall, he's probably more like an 80 or an 81. A first and a third round pick is compensation. You can see Kotkaniemi's value a lot higher. So Bergevin is going to reject that, say no. Again, just kind of shows you, the ratings definitely need some work. So hopefully we can see better, more accurate ratings in NHL 22. Also, guys, speaking of the Kotkaniemi offer sheet, when you look at the Hurricanes lines now, they don't really make a lot of sense. Like, Kotkaniemi is going to be making $6 million to play in their bottom six as a young player who usually you want to give ice time to. So I really, as much as they're going to say, they want him and stuff, I don't know if they want him at this price because $6 million for a young player and he's not even going to get that much ice time unless he somehow does break in that top six, but looking at those players there, I just don't see it happening. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see. Should be fun to see how it all breaks down, but that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the sub button. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day. Goodbye.